Yes, greetings, Dr. David Roots here again. Just coming to you with another message. I've had this on my mind for a while, and it's a video that I wanted to do. It's very important, and I've only really just had the time to go ahead and shoot it. So I'm in here in my allotment, just picked a few vegetables from the allotment. We got some tomatoes, some green peppers that are now going red, and some hot chili peppers. And you can see the peppers were given to me from a fellow person who's planting in the garden. But I guess the theme has got to be red, because everything that I have, all of this produce is red. But that's not what my video is about. For me, it's important to show some of the produce that I grow and that others grow, because it aligns with my message of prosperity and abundance. Right now, of course, we have a helicopter flying over making lots of noise, so I apologize for that, so I'm sure you can hear it. So anyway, what this video was about, as you can see from the title, is one of the most important nursery rhymes that you can teach your children, believe it or not. Okay? This might come across a bit funny, but it's a serious message behind it. One of the most important nursery rhymes that you can teach your children is this one here. Yeah? We all know this one, The Three Little Pigs. And this is one of the books that I have, that I read to my children. And we all know the story of the three little pigs, don't we? Yeah? So the story of the three little pigs is that you had these three pigs, and they were under attack, basically, by a wolf. And the three little pigs retreated successively to their different houses. And of course, they went to the first pig's house, and I just got some straw from the garden. Yeah? They went to the first house, and his house was made out of straw, and of course the wolf was able to blow that one down. Okay, and they went to the second pig's house, and he had his house made out of wood, and of course the wolf was able to even blow that one down, despite the wood being a little bit more of a harder structure for them. Yeah. And then finally they sought refuge in the third pig's house, and of course his house was made out of brick, out of stone. Okay, so we all know that nursery rhyme, but actually what does it mean? And what does it mean in terms of prosperity, abundance, and specifically in terms of wealth? I find a very big message in there that I'm going to share with you, and how we need to translate the message from the nursery rhymes, which are really just myths and lessons and parables that are taught to children to give them particular values. Okay, so the lesson in there is really that nursery rhyme is all about wealth and abundance, because as we know, the pig that ended up saving his family was the one with the brick house. Yeah, and so when we compare the different structures, we have the straw, yeah, we have the wood. As we know, it was great that the first pig had the house made out of straw. At least he had something to live in. But it wasn't robust enough to stand the storm, which in this case was Mr. Wolf. And so they had to flee and move from that house. Okay? So that would be representative of someone that, for example, all of us that have a job. Yeah? We have a job, but if there's financial storms that come, really, the job is not secure enough. It's just too brittle. Okay, it can get blown away easily. You can see the wind blowing this now. It can get blown away easily with the storm. Okay, and the next pig they went to obviously had the wood, which is a bit more robust, and you can see the wood here. You know, this wood is pretty strong. If you put pressure on it, it's not going to break. But I deliberately picked an old piece of wood. Yeah. Okay? Old piece of wood, because eventually over time, even this wood, although it's strong, will eventually corrupt and degrade also. And so we have to compare this now to to someone, for example, who has a job and they've put away, maybe they've had some savings that they've put away, okay? But your savings may not be enough in the long run, especially if you're dependent on things, for example, like interest rates and things that the banks and the government is offering you. Because as the economy changes, particularly inflation, that's what happens. Your savings get degraded, and the value of it is not as much as it used to be. As we know, 20 years ago you could buy a loaf of bread with 50 cents. Then 10 years ago was $2, and now it's $4 to buy a loaf of bread, or inflation will take a role on that. And so that's the lesson now with the pig that lived in the wooden house. But finally you had the pig where they all got saved from Mr. Wolf. Yeah, they all got saved from Mr. Wolf. He had the brick house, okay? And it was his brick house that ended up not just saving him, but destroying the wolf, because remember, he came down the chimney, and in some versions he burns his tail when he runs away, and in some version he drops in a pot and he perishes in the hot pot at the bottom of the chimney where they built a fire. So it's only because he had this brick house that he could even build that sort of structure. So what does the brick represent in terms of economics, in terms of wealth, abundance, prosperity? It means building your financial security and your economic base on something that's firm. And you need to have a strong basis, foundation, in order to do that. And obviously earning is important, saving is important, and investing is important. But as long as you depend on others for the currency to go in those things, you'll always be susceptible to the winds of change, the storms of change, like Mr. Wolf. Okay? So there's a deeper moral in that particular story that comes from that nursery rhyme in relation to economics. It's about long-term wealth, and we can see that the pigs eventually had to resort to reside in the house of the pig with the bricks. Okay? That represents long-term wealth, something that's going to stand the test of time, something that's going to be able to be passed on to your offspring. You really need to ask yourself, not only how are you doing it, but how are you teaching the young people underneath you, whether it's your children or other people, young people that you come into contact, how to do it for themselves. If you're not answering that question, and if you don't have a strategy in place, really the impact that you can make across generations is very, very slim. Okay? It's like the straw or the wood. And really we need to be building our individual economic security, our family economic security, and then our collective economic security as a community on things that are going to stand the test of time. So this is just a quick message from the allotment. Yeah, the bounty of the allotment. Yeah, things that give back. Sharing with you, Dr. David Roots, signing off. Thank you.